Hey everyone, welcome to another episode, I will just call it another down the road right here on Beck News. We get a chance to visit about a lot of things today, some foreign affairs. Thomas Ambrosio is going to join us in just a bit. We're going to get a chance to talk about what happened in Moorhead, Minnesota, in the realm of a hate crime that none of us want to see when it comes to any one of our religions. But we're still in session. We're still finding ourselves as North Dakota in a legislative session. I'm having a hard time figuring that out, and I know that our guest right now is having a hard time as well, and that is House Minority Leader Josh Boschee. Josh, good to have you back on Down the Road.
Joel, good to be with you, and good to see there's a big light at the end of the tunnel this session.
Yeah, I don't doubt it. I know a number of you would have kept in Bismarck and kept working, knowing that you get paid over the weekend anyway to get this job done. How close is that light?
I think we'll work late until Wednesday and be done. You know, there's still a possibility going into a Thursday, but I think we'll hammer it out by Wednesday.
Okay. So what's left on the table?
Well, we just this morning created the conference committees on the two final bills, which is, of course, the Office of Management Budget Bill, so House Bill 1015. And then tied to that this year is House Bill 1395, which has all the additional CARES Act funding that hasn't been spent and what we're going to do to reallocate that to state agencies. So those and the Commerce Bill, and we are trucking.
So is that why, Representative Boschee, is that why there's two funding bills? Because you've been there a while. I was there before you, and it was always OMB. That was the catch-all. That really cleaned up everything that was yet to do. Is it the CARES Act that is the reason that you got to keep your eye on two bills in terms of where the money's going?
Yeah, that and the third would be the bonding bill. You know, I think had we had all the bonding agreements and figured out at the beginning of session, the appropriation bills would have probably been wrapped up by now too. So now that the bonding bill's, done and over with, and we know where those numbers lie, now we can decide what do we need to use general fund money for. And with this extra CARES or the remaining CARES Act dollars, what can we use to offset general fund money so that general fund money can go towards other priorities? So a lot of it right now is buildings. Some of the new money coming from the federal administration is set aside for capital projects. Otherwise, it's funding law enforcement positions, corrections, Department of Health, some of those that we can offset the impacts of our general fund.
So your caucus for a long time has been advocating on the side of bonding, low interest rates. We all know that. A lot of money in the bank that we can pay off on the interest we make. When you look at bonding as a whole and you look at what's happened in the bonding bill, are you happy? Are you happy with what's the focus on where that money's going to go?
Yeah, as far as where it's going, I think are important priorities. We certainly would have liked to see a little bit more. There's a lot more other funding priorities out there that we could have set aside multi-generational payments through bonding. But the fact that we are funding the significant state share of the FM diversion, the fact that the NDSU Harris Hall replacement is funded out of this, by moving that money into a loan, into bonding, frees up cash for other water projects and important infrastructure projects in other parts of the state. So, for those of us from the Fargo area, it's important because, we are the largest metro. There's a lot of people. And so we get a lot of resources. And now by taking our resources off the table, that opens up opportunities for the rest of the state. And I think that's important to be a good partner as we prioritize these things.
So you mentioned the CARES Act as well. You talked about how that is one of the big pieces of the puzzle that isn't resolved yet. And of course, that money's coming from a federal side. Are you going to be able to resolve it? Or are we looking at almost guaranteed to have a special session down the road here?
We'll have to have a special session. The CARES Act funding came last year, so we're just dealing with what's left over there, and that's approximately $108 million that's been unspent of that $1.25 billion that came in last year. The $1.89 billion that we call Biden bucks that are coming in from the American Rescue Plan, that hasn't showed up yet and still will need to be allocated. And I'm happy that, my Republican colleagues, Majority Leader Wardner and Majority Leader Pollard, are on board with the fact that This is a legislative prerogative. When we are receiving this much money, it should be the legislature, not the executive branch, determining how do we prioritize this. So we will have to come back. There's whispers about coming back sometime in July once we know what the actual rules are on this money. Otherwise, we are planning for our December redistricting session to use that as time to allocate this money out to the throughout the state agencies and other priorities.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see because you mentioned basically the stimulus that was done under the Trump administration and how there's 100 and some million, and I think I've got this right, 100 and some million that hasn't been allocated or used is probably the right way to put it. How come it wasn't used? What are we waiting on, or did we misallocate it?
No, one thing that's important to remember is that money was supposed to be spent by December 31st of last year. And so we as a state, I think, did a good job of trying to push that out the door. But in the end, some of it didn't need to be spent. So when they lifted the rules on the deadline or when additional dollars, so FEMA money came in to help fund some of the Department of Health stuff and help offset National Guard salaries, that freed up cash. Some of the money that was set aside to the Department of Commerce, some of those are economic relief programs to businesses. Not all the money got used up. So, but the Department of Commerce didn't have authorization to switch it from item A to over to item B. They needed us to do that for them. So we're sending some of that money back to them for new initiatives. And so, there's, that's less than 10% of what was sent to us that's went unused. I think for the most part, it was used appropriately. But we wanted to make sure that anything going forward, we had the exact say in it, not the executive branch.
And you're right about that. You're definitely right about that. I have a sister where we used to have a debate about this all the time because she served in the executive branch, but she was always wrong. And I was right, which is we allocate the money. They don't. They administer the money. I want to talk to you a little bit, if I can, about what's in the OMB bill, because that'll be the last bill passed, is what I'm assuming. What's in it that might surprise people that don't understand the legislative process? For example, it's supposed to be about money, but a lot of times there's policy tacked in it as well. So what do you see in it so far that's got your head scratching and saying to your caucus, we got to get that out of there?
Yeah, so just real quick for your viewers, the OMB bill is always last because it becomes our catch-all, not only for all the things that weren't funded from an appropriation standpoint, but also when we realized, we passed a bill 3 weeks ago, there was some missing language that needed to be there. Now that's been analyzed more, we need some cleanup language. So we'll add things like that to the OMB bill. What's in there right now, I don't have too many concerns. One thing that I'm really excited about, Joel, and I think many of your viewers will, is there's $30 million set aside for townships and their roads. Another commitment we're making, and we as our caucus have pushed for years, we continue to fund cities and counties, which is important, but townships need their direct allocation. And I don't think there's enough in there right now for these townships because, my dad borrows the company blade to blade his township road because they get one good cleaning out of it, and that spends their $5,000 they get allocated from the state to every biennium. So we know that's happening throughout the state in every township. So we need more money to townships to help take care of those roads, because otherwise we let them go to disrepair and it becomes even more expensive to repair down the road. So that's what excites me about what's in there now. And that's how we get our grains to market, our commodities to market, that first mile off the farm.
So a couple of policy issues that the governor vetoed, I want to get a chance to visit with you about. The veto in regards to transgender and, women being allowed to compete in women's sports. And we talked a lot about this, I and a number of guests that I've had coming down the road with us. And, not just, the human side of this, but also how this new law would affect dollars coming into the state as well. The governor vetoed that bill after it was put on his desk that would have banned these individuals for competing in high school athletics, and that veto was upheld, albeit by a narrow margin. What's the take from legislators on that it was that close to actually becoming a law?
Yeah, well, the take is that there's an extreme agenda that is being pushed through the GOP right now. I think when we started talking in January on this show, we talked about the Boschee caucus and the moderates, and I think some people there's the Burgum caucus and whatnot. But there is some extreme ideas coming out of this wing of the Republican Party, and hopefully your viewers start paying attention. They might vote Republican up and down the ballot, and that's their ability to do that. But to start paying attention to what do those Republicans stand for and what do they not? Because not only did this bill hurt kids, it was targeting kids and hurts them, but it would hurt our economies. Places like Jamestown and Bismarck and Fargo, who host, regional hockey tournaments or soccer tournaments, those groups were saying, we don't care what your law is. If you have a law that says that certain kids can't play in sports, we're not coming. We're not bringing our 6-day tournament. We're not bringing our overnight, regional conference or camp to your community. And that means that's all students would lose the opportunity to compete there. So, it impacts all students. It impacts the economy because those people spend a lot of money when they come stay here in those tournaments. It was just a bad bill that hurt kids.
One other piece of legislation that he vetoed, and that veto was overridden, was the veto that took away his or any local authority their ability to, for example, make a ruling that you have to wear a mask during a health pandemic. Give me your caucus's take on that.
Yeah, we were opposed to any of the bans on mask bans. That's one of the interesting things. There's a lot of bans on bans happening in the legislature. But we were against it because, we found that at the times, the advantage of the executive branch is that in North Dakota, whether it's at the city, the state, or the county level, is that they act quickly and flexibly, and then we can respond to those actions afterwards. But to take away that ability of the governor or state health officer to be able to make a decision that may benefit people in the state, we didn't support that. And again, that ended up being his veto was overridden by a slim majority, or by a very small margin. And so we're continuing to see that faction grow in the legislature, in the Senate included, where, as someone who used to serve in the Senate, the Senate is where a lot of bad ideas went to die from the House. And I don't think we have the Senate there to help us anymore.
No, the Senate has gotten very extreme when it comes to the right. When you see North Dakota senators going and holding secret meetings in districts about how to get rid of moderate Republicans, that happened in Wahpeton this weekend. Yep. There was a group of the Boscheeats that were in Wahpeton trying to find a way to get rid of a moderate Republican. That's how vicious it's gotten with that supermajority. Representative Boschee, thank you. Thank you for coming down the road with us.
Thanks, Joel.
When we come back, Dr. Thomas Ambrosio is going to join us from North Dakota State University. Let's talk some foreign affairs when we come back.
Howdy folks, it's a Line Cafe. I reckon it's time you're due for a hearty meal. So saddle up for the day with one of our hay-bussin' breakfast homemade soups. Fill your grill at a salad bar, sink your teeth into our famous Line burger and barbecue ribs. Top it off with spur rattling pie with a calm roll that's sure to put a smile on even the toughest outlaws. Shake the dirt off the boots each night and warm up with the game. Tell them about it, Stacy.
I can't wait to see you at the county line.
Hi, it's me, Anthony Sullivan. And yes, you've actually caught me at home relaxing, because life's been pretty worry-free since I got coverage with American Residential Warranty.
You won't believe what ARW covers. Heating and air conditioning, washers and dryers, kitchen appliances, plumbing, water heaters, electrical systems, flat screens and laptops, even pools and spas, and so much more.
Call American Residential Warranty. They'll get you covered.
1-800-219-1467.
Hi, Hunter Ellis here for Night Hero Binoculars by Atomic Beam. These binoculars let you see anything, even in pitch black darkness. Gotcha.
The secrets are powerful wide-angle atomic beam laser that reveals objects up to 150 yards away, hidden by darkness.
During the day, Night Hero gives you 10 times magnification. And when the sun goes down, press the Night Bright button to see clearly in the dark.
Light up garbage-eating critters or spot thieves before they even get close.
Call or click now and get Night Hero binoculars for just $39.99. Order right now and you can double it. Plus, get our best-selling atomic beam flashlight. Just pay a separate fee. We'll even ship them to you free.
This TV special offer is not available on Amazon. You can get it all, but you have to order now.
Call 1-800-619-1091. That's 1-800-619-1091. Or visit BuyNightHero.com. That's BuyNightHero.com. Order now.
Attention, have you or a loved one suffered from maculopathy, a serious retinal injury, after taking the prescription drug Almiron for interstitial cystitis or bladder pain syndrome? In 2018, a researcher at the Emory School of Medicine linked Almiron, a prescription drug that treats interstitial cystitis or bladder pain syndrome, to maculopathy, which is sight-threatening and can cause an abrupt change of vision. Call Almiron Justice for a free legal consultation.
Please call 800-395-5680.
Non-attorney spokesperson. This is a paid advertisement for legal services sponsored by Nightline Legal. Cases assigned on a random basis to participating law firms. This drug remains approved by the FDA. If you or a loved one regularly took Zantac and were later diagnosed with cancer, call right now. You may be entitled to financial compensation. Potential cancers include bladder cancer, colon cancer, kidney cancer, stomach cancer, liver cancer, pancreatic cancer. Do not stop taking a prescribed medication without first consulting with your doctor. Discontinuing a prescribed medication without your doctor's advice can result in injury or death.
Call 1-800-230-9210.
Welcome back. He's our go-to guy when it comes to many foreign affairs. He understands the world about as well as anybody I know. Dr. Thomas Ambrosio from North Dakota State University joins us now. Dr. Ambrosio, good to have you coming down the road with us.
Thanks for having me. Glad to do it.
You know, it's a new administration. It's a new administration with new ideas when it comes to foreign affairs. You know, have you ever seen such a contrast between one administration to the other?
Well, certainly from Obama to Trump was a huge contrast, and then kind of swinging back, but in a very, very different way, I'd say. So I think we're seeing a radical change, we'll be seeing more radical changes in our foreign policy as the foreign policy consensus in the United States continues to break down.
You know, and I'm glad you brought up from Obama to Trump, because, you know, I wanted to ask you this before we get into the fine details, but Barack Obama came into the presidency with what, 4 years of being a United States Senator? And Joe Biden has been there forever, since the 1970s. And so let's compare those two first, if we can. The difference in philosophies with experience versus with little to no experience. I'd like your take on that.
Well, right now, you know, we're still, 100 days in, so it's a little hard to know where President Biden's foreign policy will go. But we see some really dramatic changes. One is President Biden's willingness to pull out of Afghanistan, whereas President Obama put more troops into Afghanistan and did a surge in Afghanistan, though President Biden, or Vice President Biden at the time, was against the surge. So he was already in opposition to the Obama administration's policy from within. I know we're going to be talking about Turkey and the Armenia Genocide Declaration, and that's something that President Obama promised, and then when he got into office, he reneged on that promise, whereas President Biden has fulfilled that promise. But those are some key differences. I think also, and part of it has to do with time. You know, we're talking about now, 15 years, or a long. My math is right, probably not. Time after between President Obama and Biden, the world has changed. And I really think that President Biden recognized at some level the world has changed. So he's focusing much more on China, focusing much more on Russia, whereas President Obama hopes to have a positive relationship with China, hopes to have certainly a positive relationship with Russia. So we are seeing a dramatic change, but part of that some of that is consistent. Some of it may be a simple recognition that the world is different than when President Obama took over.
Well, and again, I want to go back because certain things under the Biden administration now are a complete different tone. one of those being Russia, and I want to get to that in just a second. But here in the Midwest, we raise commodities. That's what we do. The Trump administration they talked about steel, they talked about tech, they talked about a lot of things that they thought China wasn't being a fair actor in when it came to the WTO. And so I have to ask you this. Did we, through the tariffs that ran up our deficit big time, we paid $1.65 extra per bushel of soybeans to try to compensate the farmers for what they had lost. Did we make up for that in anything that happened because of those tariffs that have been taken off now?
Probably very little. Trade wars are not necessarily good for anyone unless you have a way to use them as leverage to get a real deal. But so in terms of economics, I'm not 100% sure, but I really doubt that anyone won for that situation. And I'm not sure there can be a winner given the fact that these conflicts with China, the situation with the tariffs is simply a larger reflection of the larger geopolitical conflict we're going to have with China moving to the future.
Well, and one of the reasons that I asked, because when in the areas of fuel, in the areas of coal, we're still losing jobs. In the area of steel, which was one thing that was set out as a goal, we're still not manufacturing steel the way we were before. And so I wonder what, and I know that this was put out there, that certain segments that were going to pay the price, you can just kind of, Wilbur Ross kind of buy them off. Just pay for it, and then they don't feel the pain. The problem is whether or not you're a good faith actor when it comes to trade. Because in the state you and I live in, what ends up happening is a lot of guys on the Soybean Council get on a plane and they fly over and build relationships when it comes to commodities, and then if you're not able to adhere or live up to it, those relationships are hard to ever get back. And so, something like that, it seems to me, is a long-term issue when it comes to our foreign policy.
It is, and especially as you start moving towards a world that is more conflictual, and our ability to get our way on economic policy, to get our way on trade policy, is going to be much more fraught with danger and fraught with difficulties.
So let's talk about that, because when it comes to Russia, certainly that to me is the whole 180 when it comes to where we're at with Russia now versus the Trump administration. I have never seen an administration that cozied up to Russia as well or as big as the Trump administration, and that includes what had been done in past for trade agreements with Russia. So, and I know we had the Reagan, Gorbachev, all of that, but it seemed to me that Donald Trump supported much of what was going on in Russia, and he felt he could open up markets and do a lot of things with it. When you hear Joe Biden talk about looking into the soul of Vladimir Putin, and you hear him talk about being a killer, I mean, that's a whole different world than what we were in before. Give me your take on that.
Well, there is within the foreign policy world a split. The idea, there is an idea out there that somehow we can separate Russia from China. That their relationship somehow pulling Moscow to our side, just as Nixon pulled Beijing to our side during the Cold War. There is a belief that that could happen again. I think that belief is absolutely absurd, has no basis in reality, and also there is a misreading of what actually happened with the history of, China flipping sides. There's no reason to believe that Moscow will somehow become our friend and will go against China. There is no internal reason or international reason to believe that. The Russian government is far more fearful of regime change than they are from the geopolitics of a rising China.
Are we naive as Americans in regards to what other countries see us as? We think of ourselves as this world leader that is the know-all, end-all, and when we say what policy is going to be, that's the way it's going to be, and that every country gets up in the morning and says, what does the United States of America do? As someone who has traveled Russia, and I spent 15 days in Russia, I can tell you that the average Russian doesn't give one hoot about the United States of America. Now, I realize policy-wise and leader-wise, that's probably completely different, but are we as Americans naive when it comes to what the world thinks about us?
Absolutely, without question. But a lot of it has to do with our lack of understanding of the world, our lack of a sense of history, because we are a young country. Even though it seems like we've been here forever, compared to the rest of the world, we're, awkward adolescents on the world stage. But also, we believe in the goodness of what we're doing. And I think in many ways we do believe we are doing good. But we don't see how others see us. So in 2008, for example, when the Bush administration said, we want to bring Ukraine into NATO and bring Georgia into NATO, the Russians, we were like, well, this is a good thing, right? Promoting peace, expanding this zone of democracy. The Russians looked at that with absolute horror. And I always tell my students, imagine if China offered Mexico a military alliance. I mean, we would have troops in Mexico City, but before you could even think about it.
Yeah.
We wouldn't even, it would be an absolute horror for the United States. We almost went to a nuclear war over Cuba.
Yeah.
And we need to spend more time thinking about how others see us. Now, it doesn't mean we necessarily need to change our policies, but we have to be unsurprised that we get a reaction for our policies based upon how our even good intentions can be seen as very negative overseas.
When we come back, we're going to talk about Afghanistan. We're going to talk about Turkey. We're going to talk about all of those things. But I have to tell you, please remember what he just said, because to me, that's something we don't think of, and he is just so spot on. So stick around. We're going to keep going down the road.
Hey everybody, I'm Doug Billings, your host of The Right Side with Doug Billings on Beck News. We bring you high-profile guests, ladies and gentlemen, exclusive guests. Now, you're not going to see these guests in most of the mainstream media outlets. Another thing that I do here is give guests a platform to speak freely. You're not going to see me censor anybody. Please join us, won't you? Weeknights right here on Beck TV and online at beck.news. Cheers.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and as you know, my passion is to help each and every one of you get the best sleep of your life. That's why I created my new Giza Dreams bed sheets. The first night you sleep on my sheets, you'll never want to sleep on anything else.
Go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen right now to get your very own MyPillow Giza Dream sheets. When you buy one set of sheets, you'll get another set absolutely free.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit MyPillow.com.
Introducing the Cool Turtle, the ultra-comfortable mask enhancer that creates a protective, cool, and breathable space between your mask and your face. Simply slide under any mask or gaiter and immediately feel the refreshing pocket of air surrounding your face. Cool Turtle's ergonomically designed, soft, comfortable shell immediately reduces mask friction, allowing you to breathe and talk in a comfortable environment.
I can actually breathe. With the Cool Turtle, no more sweating.
It's like I don't even have a mask on.
Call now and get not one, not two, but 3 Cool Turtles for just $10. Order now and we'll send you 2 more Cool Turtles free. No fees, absolutely free. Plus, you can get a 10-pack of 4-ply face masks. Just pay a separate fee. This offer is not available on Amazon. Get the real Cool Turtle now.
Call 1-800-270-1219. That's 1-800-270-1219. Or visit getcoolturtle.com. Order now.
Indoor football is back in Bismarck. Bucks football season is right around the corner. Grab a friend or family member for a night of action-packed, hard-hitting entertainment. The Bucks open at the Bismarck Event Center May 8th as they take on the Massachusetts Pirates. Catch the sweetest seats in the house right on the sidelines with VIP service at a Bucks turf table. Available now for single game purchases. Secure your tickets today by calling 701-595-0771. Bucks football, half the field and double the fun.
I'm Rick Becker from No Apologies. Welcome to your after-hours oasis of sanity.
How can these people not see that they're just clowns?
We help simplify and educate you on things going on in the legislature and around the country.
Asking the hard-hitting questions.
But also having flea stack and Sid and Marty Croft stuff, and we've talked about that sometimes. It's bad.
Watch us weeknights at 9 Central on Beck News and online at beck.news.
He's a teacher at North Dakota State University, Dr. Thomas Ambrosio. We've been talking foreign affairs with him, and we're going to continue to do that. Dr. Ambrosio, when we're looking at finally pulling out of Afghanistan. Good move, bad move. If you were president of the United States, what would you do?
It is long overdue. The war in Afghanistan has been lost for a long time in terms of what our goals are. We basically lost a plot, in essence. We've been there for an entire generation, and we are not doing any better now than we were 10 years ago. The Taliban have taken more and more, they control more and more territory, they're contesting more and more territory. We have no alignment between our goals and our assets. In addition, we have no alignment between our goals and the situation on the ground. And that includes the military part of this, but also the identity part of this, the sense of what the Afghans themselves want. There's a reason why the Taliban are doing better over time, because the government that we've spent, some say possibly $1 trillion trying to establish, has failed and will continue to fail. So yes, will it potentially increase terrorism? Yeah, it's possible. But it's also possible that we are simply spinning our wheels in a conflict that is the longest one in American history, and one in which we cannot achieve anything remotely connected to success.
Can anyone win there? If you ask the Russians, they're not all that happy that they were in Afghanistan. And now the United States, if what you just said is true, which I would agree it is, the mission has been over or lost for quite some while in terms of losing the plot. I mean, we obviously went into Afghanistan, it worked, going to Pakistan, Osama bin Laden ends up in the ocean. I get that. I understand what the overall quick goal was when it came to it. But what is it about Afghanistan that allows individuals to basically be able to look at Russia and the United States and win in so many ways? I mean, what is it about is it geography or what is it, Dr. Ambrosio?
Part of it's geography, part of it is the fact that it is an ethnically fractured state. Part of it is also that it is a very, very conservative state. It's also the geography connects to the fact that it's politically fractured. And because it's mountainous, you have these different warlords, you have a very, very weak central government that it ultimately can't impose its will upon the entire country. In the United States, we have problems understanding another society that is weak. The United States of America is largely able to impose its will on all of its territory. Well, imagine a society in which the president of Afghanistan is the mayor of Kabul, the mayor of the capital, and has some influence elsewhere, but that's pretty much all they rule. And now, as we're seeing the urban centers become the battlefield, they don't even rule parts of their own capital. So how do we go to state build. How do we build a state in a place that has really never had a functioning state, and given the geography, given the history, will not have a functioning state? We have this vision of Japan and Germany somehow, that we're going to remake Afghanistan in our image, but they already had functioning states that we simply came in, overthrew, and then changed the government. Boom, easy.
See, to me, one of the things, as we have this conversation, that it was long overdue, which many people agree with, it's sometimes as though we're saying that in ways our military failed. Whereas it reminds me a little bit of they never were given a chance to succeed, because what their mission was, in my opinion, was to go get a guy. They went and got a guy. And in fact, they got him in Pakistan, just to add one other twist to the whole thing. But in terms of those soldiers, those wonderful men and women that were there doing the job they were asked to do and still are, I don't want them to believe that we're in any way saying that this was lost, as much as as you pointed out, the plot is lost. And so I want to give you a chance to speak to those families.
Well, wars are won or lost off the battlefield. They're oftentimes won or lost before the actual fighting happens. And in the case of Afghanistan, the initial fight was about kicking the Taliban, who gave safe haven to al-Qaeda, kicking them out of Afghanistan, defeating them militarily, and having a counterterrorism action. That was a success. But then we began shifting towards state building. We began trying to change Afghanistan somehow. The problem of 9/11 was the fact that the Taliban gave safe haven to al-Qaeda. The Taliban did not attack us. Al-Qaeda did. There's a difference between the two. So what we should have then focused on was punishing the Taliban, and then saying, if you ever do this again, we're going to punish you more, and trying to work out some type of a deal with the Taliban. Certainly after a decade, that probably could have been more established.
I want to talk to you a little bit about Turkey and the position that President Biden has taken with Turkey, Armenian genocide, and the first president to say this was genocide. I know that the Obama administration has said they would. They backed off on it. The Trump administration backed off on it. They didn't do it. The Biden administration came forth and said something that Turkey did not want to hear, and Turkey is an ally. Or are they really an ally? Was the president right to do this?
Well, first, I would always, whenever I refer to Turkey, certainly now, ally is in quotes.
Yeah.
Is Turkey our ally? Depends on reality, and the reality is that no. Turkey is a member of NATO, certainly, but they are not an ally. They do not see the world as we do, and they have been not acting as an ally of the United States. I was shocked that Biden did it. I was shocked that President Biden was willing to use the G word, which Ankara has seen as their red line. In some ways, this is fulfilling an election promise, but I think it's also recognition on the part of Washington that Turkey is lost to us. They are lost to us as an ally, given the current regime and given its trajectory into the future. Turkey is an authoritarian country for all intents and purposes. It is a light Islamic fundamentalist country, does not see itself its future as Western. It sees itself as at best an independent actor, or maybe a bridge between the Middle East and Europe, but more and more likely as actually a Middle Eastern actor that is not really aligned with our interests or our views of the world.
If it wasn't for the geography versus the people, the leadership is one way of putting it. If it wasn't for the geography, would we even be having a debate over whether or not, as a member of NATO, they are an ally?
No, geography is the one thing you can't change. And the bases in Turkey are crucial for the United States. We'll see what Turkey does with this. They may decide to say, we'd rather not have you here anymore, which would undermine our strategic depth in the region, but it's probably inevitable. And maybe this is like Afghanistan. We need to pull off the Band-Aid and accept the reality that is there, and then move forward, not with rose-tinted glasses, but with clear glasses.
I thought about this when I heard, what President Biden said. I thought about, okay, is he, at the age he's at, governing as though he is a one-term president? And he goes in and says, look, I'm going to tick off some people. I'm going to do these things, but I'm going to do those with an eye of, hey, I don't got to pay the price of running for president again. I've got to clean up some things and send some messages that only a one-term president can do without people knowing he's a one-term president. So I want your take on that, Dr. Ambrosio.
That's an interesting theory. I'm not sure. I think President Biden is at least cognizant enough that these will have long-term ramifications. In some ways, at his age, maybe like we all do when we get older, we want to live in truth rather than in idealism. And maybe that's really what's going on here. Calling things as they are. And certainly with Turkey, it is calling it as it is. Yeah. And accepting the fact that Turkey, it's not going to change the way we want.
Right.
These dreams that they could become a Western democracy, at least for the foreseeable future, have no base in reality.
Dr. Ambrosio, I could do this all day. Thank you, sir. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
We'll do it again. When we come back, some comments in regards to what happened in Moorhead, Minnesota at a mosque right after this as we go down the road.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and as you know, my passion is to help each and every one of you get the best sleep of your life. That's why I created my new Giza Dreams bed sheets. I started by using the world's best cotton called Giza. It's only grown in a region between the Sahara Desert, the Mediterranean Sea, and the Nile River. It's ultra soft and breathable, but extremely durable. My Giza sheets also include full 21-inch wide pillowcases that will fit over any pillow and deep pocket sheets that will fit over any mattress. The first night you sleep on my sheets, you'll never want to sleep on anything else.
Go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen right now to get your very own MyPillow Giza Dream Sheets. Giza Dream Sheets are available in a variety of colors. Use your promo code, and for a limited time, when you buy one set of sheets, you'll get another set absolutely free.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit mypillow.com.
Non-attorney spokesperson. This is a paid advertisement for legal services sponsored by Nightline Legal. Cases assigned on a random basis to participating law firms. This drug remains approved by the FDA. If you or a loved one regularly took Zantac and were later diagnosed with cancer, call right now. You may be entitled to financial compensation. Potential cancers include bladder cancer, colon cancer, kidney cancer, stomach cancer, liver cancer, pancreatic cancer. Do not stop taking a prescribed medication without first consulting with your doctor. Discontinuing a prescribed medication without your doctor's advice can result in injury or death.
Call 1-800-230-9210.
Seniors, are you aware that you could pay less for your car insurance?
Seniors can save money on their car insurance.
You might save a little, you might save a lot.
Maybe hundreds of dollars a year.
You might save 5% a year, maybe 10%, 15%, or even more.
That's a lot of money. So call right now and find out just how much money you might be able to save.
1-800-699-0761. 1-800-699-0761.
Hi, it's me, Anthony Sullivan. And yes, you've actually caught me at home relaxing because life's been pretty worry-free since I got coverage with American Residential Warranty.
You won't believe what ARW covers. Heating and air conditioning, washers and dryers, kitchen appliances, plumbing, water heaters, electrical systems, flat screens and laptops, even pools and spas, and so much more.
Call American Residential Warranty. They'll get you covered.
1-800-219-1467.
Watch No Filter with me, Debbie Schlussel, for no-nonsense, unfiltered analysis of the news that matters to you. You'll see engaging guests,
It began a 444-day nightmare.
entertaining analysis, and it has everything to do with something that happened in history, and honest movie reviews. Trust me, this is just atrocious. No Filter with Debbie, weeknights at 10 p.m. Central on Beck News and online at beck.news.
It's the month of the crescent moon. It's Ramadan. And for people that are Islamic, this is their most important month. We just went through Lent. Okay, I'm Catholic. I know what Lent means when you are Catholic. And so we led up to Easter. That's my religion. I'm a Christian. That's a choice that I make. Let's keep in mind, for all of us who believe in the Second Amendment, we talk about it all the time, the Second Amendment, which gives us a right to bear arms. There's also a little thing in the United States Constitution that allows for the freedom of religion, because they got religion crammed down their throat from England, right? From the Brits. And we ended up being a huge part, as well as taxation without representation, of why we got into a fight and why we declared our independence. Now, that's just one. I get it, I realize it. But in that Constitution is the freedom of religion. Now, I don't know how many of you would appreciate individuals that celebrate Islam, that are Islamic. And so where do they practice their faith? Well, they practice it at a mosque. What happened in Moorhead, Minnesota? That mosque was attacked. That's right. It was vandalized. People went and they spray painted the side of it, and they put as much hateful things as what they could on the side of that mosque. So I ask you, why? How did we get there? What empowered that individual to put a swastika on the sidewalk or say death to Islam? I mean, what made it okay to do that? So there's a couple people, right? There's the people that are repulsed by that look at that as though it is completely going in the face of our freedom of religion. That it's basically attacking what we as Americans stand for and the right for individuals to practice their religion. And then there's the other people that look at it and say, well, and I had this on my radio show, an individual say, look, the only way is through Christ, and you must be a Christian. Okay, well, that's what you believe, but does that give you the right to do that? And here's maybe my difference, right? I grew up in a Catholic family, and I married a Lutheran girl. And there are many that are from my faith that believe that you can't be Lutheran, right? Both my daughters are Lutheran. That's their choice. That's their call. Now, here's the problem I have. The problem I have is whether or not we all stand up for those individuals and their mosque. Do we stand up for them? Now, the upside is, and I did have the opportunity to visit with the chief of police in Moorhead, and he said they're going to catch him. That there is a videotape, a security tape, that shows of not necessarily who's done it, but they think they have a really good understanding of who they think has done it. If you've seen the video, you're going to look at it and say, okay, I don't know that I've learned anything from it. They feel they have. And so they're hoping, and I shouldn't say hoping, the way he spoke, they're quite confident that there would be an arrest, and there would be an arrest soon. What I'm really curious about that arrest, assuming that it happens, I'm curious about what is behind it. If it's just one individual, is it just one? Or is it a group of individuals, somebody who sent him out? Somebody who said, you know what, go do this. We'll back you. We got your back. Or is there more than one that acted that night? I don't know. I don't know. I do know this. It repulses me. It repulses me. And it is everything that stands against and goes against exactly what those men lost their lives for in the Revolutionary War. Dr. Ambrosio was on with us a little bit earlier, and if you're just joining us, he's a professor at North Dakota State University, and he pointed out something that I hope you keep in mind. He pointed out that, you know, in the eyes of the world, we're still a relatively young country, that we are. And you take a look at what the other countries of the world are, and you have to say, okay, it's true. That's true. And so we're still finding our way when it comes to all of these different cultures, all of these different religions. We've seen it in policies. We've seen it in how we deal with each other. And we've seen it going back as far as slavery. I mean, we have. And so how we can treat each other with respect and dignity and honor and respect their religion is, to me, got to be the goal of the United States of America. And last night in Moorhead, Minnesota, it took a step backwards. Might have been just one individual. Might have been. And that's what I hope. That's what I hope. But what made him feel it was okay to do that? What made him hate as bad as what he hates? I don't know. But therein lies the problem, ladies and gentlemen. When we come back, I've got some comments about the end of the legislative session. And we'll also look at new models when it comes to higher education. So stick around as we go down the road.
Do you worry about going to the dentist? After all, a visit to the dentist can easily cost $2,000 or more. Well, relax. The Carefree Dental Card is now available in your area. Call now and we'll send your actual card at no cost today. With the Carefree Dental Card, you go to the dentist whenever you need and you instantly pay a lot less. Activate your card and you can start using it immediately. From exams and cleanings to more expensive procedures like crowns, dentures, even braces, they're all included with the Carefree Dental Card. Say you go to the dentist today without any card and your bill is, well, ouch. Wait a minute, let's try that again. You go to the dentist today and show your Carefree Dental Card, you save $525. The Carefree Dental Card is just $15.95 a month, so call now and make going to the dentist carefree.
Call 1-800-416-5739 to receive your Carefree Dental Card information kit. 1-800-416-5739. Call now.
I can't say enough good things about these nano hearing aids.
Real people talking about nano hearing aids.
The hearing quality is great.
Until now, hearing aids used to be too expensive for the average person. Until nano. Call now and you'll get your nano hearing aids for only $297. You'll save $100. When you buy one hearing aid, Nano will give you a second hearing aid free. Call right now.
1-800-213-3815.
Spas, etc.
You've come to know and trust us for over 18 years with the largest selection and showroom in Western North Dakota for our beautiful Sundance spas. Plus, you could pick out your next home experience with our selection of pool tables, shuffleboards, and fun accessories.
Spas, etc. Your relaxation destination on Main and Bismarck.
Who do you trust with your digital life? Not all cloud backup providers keep your data truly private. Beck Cloud Backup uses advanced multi-layer encryption to keep your family photos, videos, and sensitive business documents secure and only for your eyes. Your Beck Lightband Internet service already includes 50 gigs of free storage to keep your digital life safe and secure. Call us at 701-475-2361 to start using your Beck Cloud Backup today.
Attention! Have you or a loved one suffered from maculopathy, a serious retinal injury, after taking the prescription drug Elmiron for interstitial cystitis or bladder pain syndrome? In 2018, a researcher at the Emory School of Medicine linked Elmiron, a prescription drug that treats interstitial cystitis or bladder pain syndrome, to maculopathy, which is sight-threatening and can cause an abrupt change of vision. Call Elmiron Justice for a free legal consultation.
Please call 800-395-5680.
I don't know if I'll have time for everything I want to touch upon here in the commentary section of Down the Road, but if we don't, we'll hit some of the others another day. And here is one of the topics that we have to focus on another day, and that is the model when it comes to higher education. I remember when Doug Burgum was first running for governor. And I remember, Governor Burgum, who has a big footprint at NDSU. He's backed it with his money, and he's backed it with his time, and he's backed it with his history. He's a graduate at North Dakota State University. So it isn't as though, in fairness to him, that he dislikes higher education. That being said, when he was running for governor, he came out and he said, we've got to look at a different model when it comes to higher education. The world is changing and we have to be ready for it. Now, I think that sped up. I do. I think that COVID changed that, and it changed it sooner. We're sitting here, we're talking about infrastructure. We heard that from Representative Boschee earlier in the show. But if I were governor, I don't know how hard I would be pushing for new bricks and mortar on any of these campuses. In fact, I know I wouldn't, because we were already seeing enrollment numbers go down at UND and NDSU before all of this. We were already seeing, and maybe it was because of the economy, and the economy was doing well, and people didn't need to go to higher education to get the type of job and the lifestyle they wanted. I understand all of that. But we were already seeing a change, and now we're really going to see a change. We are, because many of these students are sitting there in front of a computer screen, and they're looking at this as the way they're going to take class. And it's been proven that they can. It's been proven that they can. And so understand that higher education, they make money on whether or not you're in the dorms. They make money on whether or not you go through the cafeteria. They make money by the surrounding areas, whether or not they're renting homes. And they're going to do less of that. They are. They're going to do less of that. And so Governor Burgum was right in his campaign. I didn't know if he was. Matter of fact, I was scratching my head a lot, because politically, that wasn't the best move you could possibly make, but he was right. And it's going to show more in the future. And it's a conversation, ladies and gentlemen, I think we owe more time to in the future. It's been good riding with you, folks.